המנהיגות הדתית מסוגלת מאוד לעשות את זה, ממש בעיניי. ותודה רבה שבאתם והקשבתם.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone managed to see in the chat to see the translation. But afterwards, we can also send a translation of the speech that Ghadir made at the Interfaith March. So yes, thank you so much. We will now be hearing from Jonathan Khuttab, who's a Christian Palestinian and will be speaking on behalf of Shakdiel. Shakdiel are an organization of Palestinian Christians inspired by the life and teaching of Jesus Christ, and they stand for the oppressed, work for justice, and engage in peace building in Israel and Palestine. Khuttab is an international human rights lawyer and a co-founder of Al-Haq, a Palestinian human rights organization. And we thank him so much for joining us. So over to you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thank you. I really did not realize I was intended to speak here. I was at the march and I couldn't stay the whole time because I had a previous commitment. But there is a very definite message that I wanted to bring to the march and to Rabbis for Human Rights and to all the other organizations that are part of this wonderful effort. It is indeed a time of polarization when people think of themselves as being part of their tribe or their group or their religion or their national group. And the beautiful thing about religions, all religions, is that we recognize God, however we understand the divine to be, and we recognize that our duty towards God transcends all other duties. In theory, that should give us the freedom to go beyond normal boundaries, to critique our own group, to have a prophetic message to our co-religionists as well as our co-citizens, co-national group, because we believe we have some connection to the divine who orders our lives. Unfortunately, this connection to the divinity has been used by people and abused by people to justify some really extreme behavior, some really immoral behavior, to further the national cause of the tribe rather than to seek universal principles that apply to one and all. And I think this is really the task of the march, the task of interfaith groups, recognition that however different we may be in our religious perspectives, we really believe in God, and we really believe in universal values, and we really believe in love and caring for other people. And we are really willing to critique our own group first, and then other groups around us, and to bring up principles. We are to be a light to others. We are to be the salt of the earth. We are to be the bearers of a message, hopefully good news to other people, that God cares about them and wants us to care about them as well. In that sense, those who use religion to justify racism, discrimination, violence, killing, destruction, and hatred of the others are really missing the point of what God is all about. And I value the ability to be able to speak, in my case, as a Christian, to address this contentious problem. It is our privilege, I think, as Christians, that the majority of Palestinian Christians, unlike the majority of Christians worldwide, are pacifist. We believe that Jesus Christ is the Prince of Peace. He calls us not to kill our enemies, but to love our enemies. He calls us to a new loyalty to the kingdom of God, which transcends the kingdoms of this world. So that while we are an integral part of Palestinian society, and while we care very much about justice, about equality, about human rights, yet we still are willing to pursue these goals in a non-violent fashion. This is the message that I think I can bring to this march, that as Palestinian Christians, we are deeply committed to justice. We are deeply committed to equality. We are deeply committed to our faith, but we do it without violence. We do it without killing or destroying the other. That our message is a message of love and acceptance and of the kingdom of God, which has place for everyone in it. This is why it is good news. Otherwise, it's bad news. I'm afraid many people who speak in the name of religion don't bring any good news to the table. They bring bad news of destruction, of hatred, of animosity towards the other. In the name of God, they preach killing and destruction and hatred. This we do not do. Speaking on behalf of Sabil, of course, an ecumenical movement, but I think of the vast majority of Palestinian Christians, I can say that we believe in human rights, human dignity, we believe in justice, and we take a prophetic message to everyone involved in this situation, that it is God's will for us to live together in peace and in justice. That the vision, the prophetic vision of the lion and the lamb being together and a little child leading them is not a utopian, crazy idea, but it is something that we work for as Christians who pray, may God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is our message, and I'm proud to bring that message of goodwill to this gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks so much. The next speaker will be Rabbi Leah Shakdiel. I'm sorry if I pronounced your surname wrong. Leah is a feminist scholar, spiritual leader, and a peace activist.
Leah Shakdiel.
Leah Shakdiel. Sorry, my British accent ruins everything, really. She has been active in a broad range of organizations, not least Tag Me'er. And today she's joining us to speak about her journey to activism. And yeah, I'm going to pass over to Leah now. Thank you.
Thank you. I am very proud to be part of this important webinar here. I'm inspired by what you said, Ghadir and Jonathan before me. Ghadir, you have the picture of Vivian Silver behind you. Vivian was murdered on the 7th of October. She was a very central member of the struggle for feminism and for peace in Israel, and she had friends in Gaza, and she was working for life together between Jews and Palestinians, and that's what we're here for. I am an Orthodox Jew. I was born in a national religious family, and to my horror, national religious Judaism took a sharp move to the right following the Six-Day War and especially following the 73 war, when the perception was that that mainstream Zionism is collapsing in face of the tragedy of 73, and therefore they decided to move into center stage and start spreading their message, which is that Jews have to inhabit every inch of the land and leave absolutely no space for Palestinians. I belong to those Jews who were horrified by this interpretation of Judaism, as if it narrows down to one single thing, which is the fact that this is the land of Israel. Nothing else matters. Social justice doesn't matter. Human rights don't matter. Nothing matters. That's the only thing that matters. And we, way back in the mid-70s, we established Oz V'Shalom, which is the religious movement for peace. It is still around. It's a small group. And recently, there's a group of younger people called Smol Emuni, the religious left, which is making waves in the world, very important to, and I'm very proud to be a member of Rabbis for Human Rights and of organizations like Tag Meir, which was established by a national religious man, a Ghadir Yahu. And the idea is to respond to every time there is a hate crime, there is a response of love and solidarity with those who were hurt by that hate crime. If a hate crime is perpetrated by a Palestinian, we visit the Jewish victims. If a hate crime is perpetrated by Jews, we visit the Palestinian victims. Now, visiting the Jewish victims is not big news in Israel, in Jewish Israel, right? But visiting the Palestinian victims, that's a different story. That's big news. And people are shocked to see religious people like myself paying attention to that and saying that as Jews, we need to really scream from the rooftops the message that that there is an interpretation of Judaism that pushes for peace, justice, and equality for all, while other people push for a racist version of what Torah is about, for Jewish supremacy, for overtaking, for the fact that for an ethnocracy, that the Jewish ethnos has to rule over everybody. We think that this is actually it desecrates the name of God and the Torah. That to behave like that at this time in history is is sinful. But it's not just a sin against God; it's a sin against humanity. It's a sin against what we are to do here. Sovereignty of the state for the Jewish people means responsibility, assuming responsibility of people who are historical subject to defend themselves. That is correct. But while we have every right to defend ourselves, that does not give us the right to oppress others while we defend ourselves, or to hurt others, or to commit war crimes, or nationalism and the pride to stand for your own nation does not give you the right to commit crimes against human beings on the other side. The proud struggle for Palestinian nationalism does not give the Hamas the right to perpetrate the crimes that they did on the 7th of October. And by the same token, I would say that the right of Israel to defend itself does not give it the right to bomb Gaza, where mostly civilians are killed, or to cause their starvation, or to use the war as an excuse for ethnic cleaning in the sea areas of the West Bank, mainly in the southern Hebron Hills and in the northern Jordan Valley. One of the organizations I'm active in is Mahsom Watch, Checkpoint Watch, women who go out to monitor and actually write and publicize what is really happening on the ground with Palestinians. And it is heartbreaking to see what is happening there during the war. Nobody sees it, how everything is done by settlers, by Jewish settlers in military uniform, completely backed by both the army and the police forces. It attracts little media attention because everybody's eyes is on Gaza or sometimes on the northern border with the Hezbollah. But we have to take all of that into consideration and remind ourselves that the Zionist movement set out to call upon the world to support the right of Jews to be equal to other human beings as individuals and as a people. That means that the Jewish people that demands other people to support its right to be equal to other people and peoples, that same Jewish people has the responsibility to treat other human beings with equality and justice, to share the land with the other people that lives here. There are two peoples here who belong to the same land, and living together, finding a solution for coexistence and for joint life, a joint endeavor is paramount in this generation. I think that it has been said before me here that both Muslim and Jewish men of religion have been instrumental in instigating violence and hatred. This is horrible. And as a religious woman, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see human beings do that anyway. But when it is done in the name of God, this is much more hurtful to me. It's very painful to see that. I think that this gives us double responsibility as men and women of religion, as religious leaders on both sides. It gives us a double responsibility to lift up our voice, not be silent, not and make sure that our message is heard loud and clear all over. And the march last week was just one of those incidents when this can be done joyously with members and leaders, religious leaders of the other religions. But we do it's a day-by-day work. Not a day goes by without opportunity to speak up and make sure that our message is heard above and beyond the message of hate perpetrated by other people. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have one more speaker left, Dr. David Goren. He'll open with a prayer, the same prayer that he said at the Interfaith March outside of Jaffa Gate. And then he'll follow on with some words about his activism and his role as a spiritual leader. He's a Buddhist monk as well as an Israeli Jew. Thank you, David. I'll pass over to you.
Hello. So my name is David Goren, as you said, and I am a Buddhist monk and a Reform Jew. So my being is this unification of religion or interfaith of religion is in my heart. So the first thing I would like to do is read a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. And this poem was written during the Vietnam War, and it is redundant to say how much it fits us in Israel/Palestine, hopefully. In the future, there will be two states. I think most of us would like to see it happening today. The name of the song is Recommendation. Promise me this day. Promise me now, while the sun is overhead, exactly at the zenith. Promise me. Even as they strike you down with a mountain of hatred and violence. Remember, brother, remember. Man is not our enemy. Our enemies are hatred, anger, fear, greed, fanaticism, discrimination, and delusion. Man is not our enemy. So please meditate on compassion for all those who do not know that compassion is the most incredible power a man can have. Hatred will never let you face the evil in man. Only compassion with courage intact can face and even uproot the evil in man. Thich Nhat Hanh. So I shortened the song for the march, the poem, and here I'm reading exactly this version that Jacob was putting on the screen for us. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. And then I hesitated till the very last moment whether to talk as an activist or as a religious person. And since I cannot do both in 10 minutes, and since I'm writing and talking much as an activist in many forums, I decided that in this special forum, I will talk as a religious person in the 21st century. And I wrote down what, okay. So I will be focused. So first, I'm happy and excited to participate in realizing a religious interfaith gathering in Israel during these turbulent times. And I want to say that there were many occasions in which I participated in such interfaith events, mainly in Haifa, where I live. And Haifa is a city where Arabs and Israel live together, which is, I think, an example for all Israel. Ghadir reminded Akko, but I think Haifa is the main Ir Meorevet, the example for all Israel that it is possible. We live with Arabs all the time, and even after October 7, I could say even almost harmony between Jews and Arabs was not severely hurt, and we can still talk with each other and work with each other, which is, I think, amazing and important. But as I said, I'm not going to talk as an activist, and I'm dragged to it. So, a coherent gathering of religions in the 21st century is timely and vital, since it is now the time to bring back to the world the positive importance of faith beyond the boundaries of specific religions. During the last centuries, science and modernity pushed the world forward, and religions were left a bit or more than a bit behind. But in the 21st century, religions are definitely coming back worldwide, and let us do it in a better way than before. Let us do it in a way that harmonizes with modernity rather than negating modernity. Let us do it in a way that complements and improves modernity. Let us do it in a way that stresses the commonality between religions rather than focus on their differences. We have a shared message of faith, and people today need faith more than ever. The postmodernistic world is confusing and causes much suffering and misunderstanding, not to mention what post-truth does. Anxiety and depression are common in the modern world more than ever due to a lack of faith. When I say faith, I do not mean a blind one. I mean an eye-opening and mainly heart-opening one. In Buddhism, faith is expressed by the third noble truth. There is a way to cease suffering. This is what we have faith in, and this is what we are able to do to some extent, and this is what we are striving to do. So science is excellent, but it does not give us morality, it does not give us faith, and it is up to us to close this gap. It is not enough to cultivate logic without cultivating the human spirit. We need to cultivate seeds of compassion and faith within our souls. Logic alone can be used both for and against ethics. We must cultivate the human spirit to enable ethics, human rights, and peace. So this is another reason why we marched together in Jerusalem last week. And this is another reason why we are together today. It is all up to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. I'm going to share now a video which was made from the Interfaith March. It's in Hebrew and Arabic, and there's no translation yet, but I think it's important to watch. It's only a minute or so long, and it shows the atmosphere from the march. Whilst we're watching, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And then after we watch the video, I can start selecting people to ask questions. Just note who you'd like to respond. Thank you so much. I'll share now my screen.
בשם השם ובשם רוח האדם וערכי השלום וזכויות האדם נעשה ונצליח. אנחנו נצעד היום גם לזכרך ולמען החזון שלך, החזון של שלום בין יושבי ארץ הקודש. יש תפילה לנביא מוחמד סלlallahu עליhi wasallam, Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam wa ilayka yarji'u salam. آمنا بكلام وادخلنا دارك دار السلام. מי לא רוצה את השלום חבריו? כולם רוצים את השלום. אנחנו מאמינים שיום אחד אלוהים ייתן לנו שלום. תקווה זה פעולה ותקווה עושים. מכל הדתות אנחנו עושים תקווה ועושים פעולות במרחב שהופכות את העתיד הזה למציאות. וזה בדיוק מה שאנחנו עושות ועושים בצעדה הזאת.
שלום הוא אחד השמות היפים של האלוהים.
להילחם למען צדק, שלום, שוויון.
התחלה של כולם.
Great. So first I'll take a question from David Schneier. David, you didn't say who you'd like to answer, but it can be an open question to all of the speakers. So David asks, how do we address the insecurity of religious extremists and supremacists? Who is doing that holy work within their own religious communities?
This was a question to me.
A question to anyone, anyone who wishes to answer from the panel.
Well, my way of addressing extremism is to explain what I was also saying here, the other alternative. I'm not trying to negate people. I'm trying to teach. I mean, Buddha was a teacher. He was not a prophet. He was a teacher. So I'm trying to teach love and compassion. And this is the best I can do, and I see that it is working sometimes. So I cannot tell people what to do, and the people who are extremists, there will always be people like that. But you can get to the heart of people, and you can talk from your heart, and this is in fact the strength of religions, that they talk only, I mean, not only by logic, which is amazingly important, but also from the heart. So this is what I'm doing.
Great, thank you, David. Leah, please.
It's interesting, David, that you profile extremists as insecure. Unfortunately, that could be a correct psychological analysis, but the way they behave in our part of the world is so violent and with such backing from the inactivity of the political establishment that I'm afraid that the only way to address them is to, number one, make ourselves heard, insist that we are heard, and number two, push for legal restraining of that violence. We, as citizens of a state that likes to see itself as a democracy, must make sure that the police does not sit idle. It does not back those acts of violence in the West Bank or wherever it is, that the political system does not sit back and allows this to happen, that the press, the free press, doesn't sit still, that the academic world does not cave in front of the sorry, I cannot answer this now. Sorry. That the academic world does not cave in to the aggression of the student organization in Israel that is trying to shut up, to censor the words of people in the academic world who try to express their views on the situation. Not caving in and fighting against that violence, I think, is paramount, no matter how insecure they are.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll move on to the next question, which is from Miriam.
Can I ask a question? Are people who are participating in this webinar allowed to speak, respond to the presenters?
Sorry, I don't.
It's in the chat. People are you can write in the chat things. People are writing their questions in the chat. So
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
please check the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This question is specifically for Jonathan. Muriel asks, you are a human rights lawyer and have experience in negotiation and peace building. Can you explain what you said in your book about how both Israelis and Palestinians need to have the deepest needs met to build trust? Jonathan, if you're there, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I wrote a small book called Beyond the Two-State Solution, where I tried to, without judging, without equating both sides, without going into all the arguments, I looked at the reality today. And Zionism and Palestinian nationalism are mutually exclusive. They take from each other. It's a zero-sum situation. They view each other as existential threats. And I said, this cannot continue. Partition may be a solution, but it's not working because of the settlement movement and because of many other reasons why it cannot happen. So I tried to envision a new society that addresses the needs of both groups, all of their needs except for the need for exclusivity and control and domination over the other. And it's possible. At least I wrote up a structure that tries to address the needs of both sides, regardless of who is in the majority and who is in the minority, that addresses their deepest felt desires, fears, hopes, and the good in both sides without the need of domination and exclusive control. You can, it's available in Arabic, English, and Hebrew. You can download it for free, or you can order the book. It's a small book, and it's a vision. It's a dream. It's a realistic goal that people can work towards, rather than be frustrated with the existing horrible situation that we find ourselves in, and which cannot be addressed by either ideology. I cannot say Palestine Arabiya without recognizing that there's 7 million non-Arabs living in Palestine. And I cannot seek a Jewish state as Jewish as France is French when there are 7 million non-Jews living under the control and in the land claimed by the Jewish state. So I say maybe we can both share the land and address the needs of both sides. And I welcome anybody to read it and tell me that I'm wrong, or that I fail to address their needs or their goals. The one thing I do not tolerate is people who say you're too idealistic, you're too utopian. Well, of course, it's a vision. Aval im tirtzu ein zu agada. It's something that you can work for. It's something that you can believe in. It's something that you can hope for. And certainly as a religious person, to go back to our theme here, it's something you can believe in and work towards, even if it looks unrealistic to many people who do not believe and who do not seek to understand each other.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Mr. Jacob, one moment. I will give information. I am from Italy, and in the middle of this week, we are coming to Jerusalem and Bethlehem in 162 persons from Bologna with the Bishop Zuppi to see Jerusalem and Bethlehem, some people from Israel, from Arabic people, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. Only this information. I hope is a moment for peace and communion. Thank you.
Thank you, Guido. It's really close to 7 o'clock. I think we have time just for the last question, which I think I should present to Sigal. Really, the person said, the march was great and I felt a lot of compassion. Will there be another event or regular meetings where we can be together and share our hope and faith? Sigal, if you want to end the meeting with any words, that would be welcomed.
Yes, Pastor Ines and then everybody else, we are going to continue the work together with the organizations. We're going to work together throughout the year. We will have in-person meetings and Zoom meetings, and this March is the beginning. It's not the end of the process. So yes, and any organization who would like to join us, let us know, please. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll send an email to all of the participants afterwards with the booklet from the Interfaith March and any other materials which were spoken about. So
thank you, Jacob. Kol hakavod.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all the people.
Thank
Mostly
you,
for
Paul.
Leah.
You're doing wonderful work. Keep going. We're with you.
Thank you.